Hey there, all you Broadway buffs. Welcome back to Broadway by Ghostlight. I'm Mark Bonanni, and I'm thrilled to be bringing you episode 2 of Broadway Jeopardy. There was such a great response to the first episode, I couldn't wait to bring you another one. I think I'm going to try to do this weekly. To be completely honest with you guys, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pull it off for very long at least, but I'm gonna try. And I still plan on bringing you my regular theater history content as well, like Broadway breakdowns and such, so don't worry about that. So for now, you can look for these videos every Thursday, I think. But enough chit chat, I'll talk more at the end, but let's get right to this week's game. This is Broadway Jeopardy! Alright everyone, you know the rules. 5 categories with 5 questions each, where you get about 5 seconds to answer. Make sure and answer Jeopardy style in the form of a question, or don't. I'm not your father, I'm not the YouTube police. Do whatever makes you happy. We end with the final Jeopardy question at the end, of course, and make sure to keep your scores and let me know in the comments how you did. I love hearing from you guys. There was some great scores last episode. Looking at our categories for this week, we start with Broadway Cares. This was the final Jeopardy category last episode, and I think I'm going to bring the final Jeopardy category back for the next episode from now on. I think they all deserve a full category. Next up is the Tony Awards, which are right around the corner. Very exciting. That's followed by Grease. Grease is the word. Yes, all about the musical Grease. I played Danny Zuko in high school, actually. Lots of fun. The fourth category is Lin-Manuel Miranda, the busiest man on Broadway, it seems. And last but not least is musicals on the radio, looking at show tunes that crossed over into the pop world. We start with the $200 round, what I call the overture round. These questions are designed to be pretty easy and hopefully give you some points to be able to fake wager later in the episode. Up first in the Broadway Cares category is, in the organization's full acronymized name, BCEFA, the EFA stands for this. What is Equity Fights AIDS? Back in the late 1980s, Broadway Cares and Equity Fights AIDS were actually separate organizations started to help the Broadway community through the horrific AIDS crisis, and the two organizations finally merged together in 1992. Over at the Tony Awards, we have this hysterical musical comedy from 2001 holds the record for the most Tony wins with 12. What is The Producers? Yes, Mel Brooks' smash hit still holds the record for most Tony wins.
Behind me, you see a phalanx, an avalanche of Jews who have come with their talent, their money, but most of all, their spirit and their love for the theater.
The Producers also shared the record for most nominations with 15, but Hamilton beat it out by 1 nomination in 2016. In the Grease category, we have, this is the high school the rambunctious teenagers in the musical attend. What is Rydell High, of course? The name Rydell High was a tribute to Bobby Rydell, a teen heartthrob in the 1950s, whom musical theater fans know as Hugo in the film version of Bye Bye Birdie. On to the Lin-Manuel Miranda category, we have, this monster hit is about the United States' $10 founding father. Oh man, it doesn't get much easier than that. Say it with me, everyone. What is Hamilton? Yes, moving on. The last clue in the overture round in the category of musicals on the radio is, Gwen Stefani's 2004 pop song Rich Girl sampled If I Were a Rich Man from this classic musical. What is Fiddler on the Roof? I never thought I'd see Gwen Stefani and Fiddler on the Roof combined, but here we are.
If I was a rich girl, na 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 na.
Alrighty, moving on to the just slightly more challenging $400 round. First up in Broadway Cares, we have twice a year, volunteers and cast members raise money for Broadway Cares by collecting money as the audience leaves the theaters in these. What do they collect the money in? What are red buckets? Yes, the famous Broadway Cares red buckets. In fact, when Broadway Cares changed the name of the annual Gypsy of the Year competition, it was changed to the Red Bucket Follies. On to the Tony Awards, we have the front side of the Tony Award medallion features these well-known dramatic symbols. What are the comedy and tragedy masks? Admit it, how many of you had comedy tragedy mask jewelry or something as a young theater nerd? I know I did. I'm sure you did too. A necklace, ring, we all did. Let's hand jive over to Grease with this clue. The original finale to the musical, All Choked Up, was replaced in the film version with this song. What is You're the One That I Want? A highlight of the film, I think, You're the One That I Want has pretty much replaced All Choked Up in most major revivals, though we still did All Choked Up in my high school version.
Tell me about it, stud.
Up next for Mr. Miranda's category, we have Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote and starred in the Heights on Broadway in 2008, where he originated this role. What is Usnavi? Usnavi. The character was given the name by his father because it was the first boat he saw in America, though most of us would pronounce it as U.S. Navy. I love that bit and that show. It's amazing. Rounding out the $400 round with the musicals on the radio category, we have Louis Armstrong's rendition of this show's title song was so popular, he partially reprised it in the film version. What is Hello, Dolly?
Well, hello,
Look who's here.
Dolly. This is Louis.
Hello, Louis.
Dolly.
I love the film version of Hello, Dolly. I don't care what anyone says. What do you guys think? Let's up the ante with the $600 round now, and this Broadway Cares clue. Every year, the beautiful Broadway community sheds its clothes for a good cause at this event. What is Broadway Bears? The annual burlesque benefit was started by future director/choreographer Jerry Mitchell in 1992. The 2023 edition of Broadway Bears raised over $1.8 million. Incredible. Broadway has some thirsty fans, I'll just say that. But it's for a good cause, so, get your freak on. Next up in the Tony Awards category, we have the Tony Awards is named for this theatrical pioneer. Who is Antoinette Perry? Miss Perry was a co-founder of the American Theater Wing who put on the Tonys every year, and she was also instrumental in creating the Stage Door Canteen, which helped with the war efforts during World War II. Next up for Grease, we have, according to this famous quote from the film version, a hickey from Kinnicky is like this. What is a Hallmark card?
I got so many hickeys, people would think I'm a leper.
Cheer up. Hickey from Kinnicky's like a Hallmark card. You care enough to send the very best.
You pig.
Is that what the kids call Riz these days? Oh my god, is Riz short for Rizzo? I'm old, don't worry about me. Anyways, moving on. In the Lin category, we have Miranda entered the animated movie scene in 2016, writing the songs for this Disney animated film. Yes, the correct answer is what is Moana? A great movie with amazing songs. The sequel is due to release in November of this year, but Lin-Manuel Miranda is not providing the music for this one. We'll see. And finishing out the round with musicals on the radio for 600, we have pop group The Fifth Dimension had a big hit in 1969 by combining these two songs from the musical Hair. Looking for two songs. What are Aquarius and Let the Sun Shine In? A classic rendition by Fifth Dimension. I always loved how it's the first and last songs from Hair that make up that version. Before we turn up the heat with the $800 round, please just take a hot second to hit that like button if you're enjoying this video. It really helps me and the channel out immensely and lets more people see this video. All right, pleading over, back to the game. The $800 Broadway Cares clue is: the end of the spring fundraising season every year is celebrated with this fun event where shows create elaborate headwear. What is the Easter bonnet competition? The work that goes into these bonnets every year is astounding. My mother-in-law actually helped make this one here. Shout out to Jackie. Over in the Tony Awards category, we have, when the Tonys were presented at various Broadway theaters, this theater hosted the ceremony the most. What is the Schubert Theater? That one may have been tough to some of you, but if you watched my 41 facts about the 41 Broadway theaters video, you hopefully got that one right. I'm just saying, it pays to watch the other videos on the channel. I'm shameless that way. Moving on to Grease, the $800 clue is: this Rocky Horror Picture Show and Spin City actor was the original Danny Zuko on Broadway. Who is Barry Bostwick is the correct answer. One of my favorite actors, Mr. Bostwick appeared in several Broadway shows after Grease, including The Robber Bridegroom and flop Nick and Nora with Joanna Gleason. Next clue for Lin-Manuel Miranda is: Miranda co-wrote the score for this high-flying 2012 Broadway musical with Tom Kitt and Amanda Green. What is Bring It On the Musical? For that show about rival cheerleading squads, besides the more traditional musical theater ensemble, it also boasted several real-life competitive cheerleaders from across the country. The large cast had an astounding 30 Broadway debuts when it opened at the St. James Theater. Love seeing so many Broadway debuts. Finishing out the penultimate round and the musicals on the radio category with this clue. The Dionne Warwick hit I'll Never Fall in Love Again is from this 1968 Broadway musical. What is Promises, Promises? The musical was Burt Bacharach and Hal David's only original Broadway musical, and besides I'll Never Fall in Love Again, Dionne Warwick also recorded several of the show's songs, including the title number.
Promises, promises, I'm all through with promises, promises now. I don't know how.
All right, theater nerds, we've arrived at the big show, the real test of Broadway buffdom, the $1,000 round. The last clue for Broadway Cares is: the legendary Broadway flea market was started in 1987 when this show raised money for Broadway Cares by selling old props and costumes. The answer is, what is a chorus line? Yes, the company of the smash hit musical, desperate to raise funds to help fight the AIDS epidemic, set up two tables between shows one Saturday in Schubert Alley to sell old props and costumes and whatnot from the show, and the Broadway Flea Market was born. To date, the annual event has raised over $18 million for Broadway Cares. Most of that money, I think, came from my own wallet, to be completely honest with you. But, you know, again, it's for a good cause. Finishing out the Tony Awards category, we have this legendary woman of stage, film, and television holds the record for hosting the most Tony Awards ceremonies. Who is Angela Lansbury? The iconic Broadway legend hosted the Tony Awards a total of 5 times. Neil Patrick Harris and Hugh Jackman are right behind her though, with 4 ceremonies hosted each. The final clue for Grease is, this is the name of Danny Zuko's high school gang in the stage version of the show. The correct answer is, what is the Burger Palace Boys? If you're yelling at the screen saying, wait, buddy, they were definitely called the T-Birds, that is the name of the group in the film version, but for the actual stage version of the show, they are called the Burger Palace Boys. Though I will definitely concede that the T-Birds is a much cooler sounding name though. Wrapping up the Lin-Manuel Miranda category, get it? Wrapping up, because he raps. Anyway, your $1,000 clue is, Miranda provided the Spanish translated lyrics of a classic show tune for this 2009 Broadway revival. What is West Side Story? For the 2009 West Side Story revival, Lin collaborated with original lyricist Master Stephen Sondheim on the song I Feel Pretty, this production having her sing the song in Spanish.
Hoy me siento tan hermosa, tan graciosa que puedo volar.
And the last clue for musicals on the radio is, this song from the musical Chess reached number 3 on the US Billboard charts in 1985. The correct answer is, what is One Night in Bangkok?
One night in Bangkok in the world's blockbuster.
You know, if you ask me what show tune would reach number 3 on the Billboard charts, I think the last song I would probably think of is One Night in Bangkok. It blows my mind. It is catchy though, I'll give you that. And with that, we have arrived at the final Jeopardy question. One question, make or break, all or nothing. Well, you know, you don't have to bet it all, I guess. I hope you've been keeping track of your scores, because it's time to make your final wagers. Here is your final Jeopardy category. We have musicalized Shakespeare. Ooh. All right, wagers in. The final Jeopardy question is, based on Shakespeare's The Comedy of Errors, this 1938 musical by Rodgers and Hart features the song Sing for Your Supper and Falling in Love with Love. What is The Boys from Syracuse? The Rodgers and Hart musical was last seen on Broadway in a 2002 revival from Roundabout Theater Company. I saw that production, and the best part about it was the poster artwork. That's all I'm going to say about that. That does it for episode 2 of Broadway Jeopardy! Add up your final score and make sure and write it in the comments. The musicalized Shakespeare category will be back next week in full, and 5 more categories headed your way to join it, so make sure you are subscribed and hit that bell so you won't miss any episodes. And if you had fun, again, please hit that little like button and share this with the trivia nerd in your life. A special big thanks to my patrons over on Patreon. You guys are my final Jeopardy! I don't know what that means, but I love you guys all the same. Follow me over on the socials at Ghostlight. But until next week, I'm Mark Bonanni. This is Broadway by Ghostlight. Thanks for playing.